everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first episode of my wedding series, and if you did not know, I'm getting married. So I'm hoping that through this series I can kind of walk you through my process and how I planned my wedding and how I got through all of the just craziness that is wedding planning in today's world. I hope that I can provide you with tips and tricks on how you can have the best but most affordable options for your wedding day. So if you're interested, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, and stay tuned for today's video. Okay, full disclaimer, my wedding planning journey is very unconventional because your girl did not want the typical wedding at the church and then head to the reception space. My fiance and I thought that it would be extremely important that we had something that was private and that we could truly enjoy the moment. One of the big things that I always hear from like my friends and other brides who are getting married is that, oh my gosh, we didn't even have time to eat. We didn't even have time to breathe. We were up on our feet the entire time. We didn't get a chance to really enjoy our wedding day just because of all of the, again, craziness that happens on the wedding day. And that was just not what we wanted. And so I just want to be completely honest that this journey that I'm going on with wedding planning is going to be a bit unconventional because we have decided to elope. And so we are going to have a wedding reception after we get back, but we have decided that we want to actually say our I do's and our vows in Bali, Indonesia. And so this is totally my journey and what we have decided to do. And so I'm just kind of providing tips and tricks based on my experience and how I plan on planning my wedding. So all of the things may not completely fit what you're planning to do, but I believe that there are some good gems in here that are going to be extremely helpful no matter how you are planning your wedding, whether you're doing something more traditional in a church setting or at a typical venue, or if you're like me and you just want to get away and elope. So first things first, what is your vision for your wedding day? One of the big things that I really wanted to do was to get an idea of what I wanted my wedding to look and feel like the day of. And when I say my wedding, this is going to be in a two-part process. So the wedding, the actual wedding day of, we've planned that. And so I'll talk a little bit about that and what that looks like, but also what I wanted the reception to look like. And that's what's going to be the bulk of the beginning of this series, is our wedding reception and kind of how we plan to get there. So in terms of vision though, the first thing that you're going to want to pick out, I thought it'd be really important, was to pick theme and colors. So for me, I wanted something that was very like calm and surreal and just kind of gives you the feeling of just like being at peace. And for me, the color blue does that for me. So I picked colors that were going to be in the color scheme with blue. The first thing I did, I got on Pinterest. Pinterest is going to be your best friend while you are wedding planning. So I got on Pinterest and I started to look at different color schemes and swatches that had blues in them. And I actually landed on this one that I'll put up on the screen right here. So the first one that I kind of came across, it had navy blue, dusty blue, green, white, and accents of gold. And I saw that and completely fell in love with it. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you find a color scheme that is going to work for your vision for your wedding day. Some brides go with themes. I don't necessarily have a theme for my wedding day, but I am kind of playing off the theme of being in Bali and Indonesia. Well, now that I say that, I totally have a theme. It's like Balinesian almost. And so a lot of it is going to be focused high on greenery. I'm not a flower girl, and so a lot of them, a lot of the decorations are going to be greenery focused, some eucalyptus, things of that nature, and not extremely heavy. Y'all excuse my dog, he is deciding that he wants to play right now. But yes, highly focused on just greenery and really capturing like the essence of what it is to be in Bali and be surrounded by nature. And that's what I wanted to go with for my theme. So after you have picked your colors and your theme, it's important to pick or to kind of start browsing what type of venues you think would fit that vision of your color and theme. So when picking my venue for my elopement, I wanted something that really was going to put me one with nature and kind of capture the beauty that is Bali. And so we are doing an amazing kind of forest top, mountaintop venue that is completely open, where we can truly take in the beauty of what is around us. And for my reception, I kind of wanted something that was going to be centrally located, because I wanted to make sure that all of my friends and family that were coming in wouldn't have to travel too far. And so for my wedding venue, for the reception, I really wanted to make sure that it was something that was going to be easy to have access to and to get to for everyone. So that may be different for you. Some brides, again, want to have more of the focus on nature, or if you're having like a more country style or boho theme, you may want to do something close to like a barn. And I'll put some examples of like different types of venues. Like you may want something that's more industrial, totally dependent upon you and what you want your theme to be, but those two kind of go hand in hand for me, because I feel like that's really important. That's also going to be depending upon your location and what's available to you. So it's really important to kind of get out there and start looking around to see what venue spaces are available and that fit into your budget. Speaking of budget, it's important to have a roundabout number of what you're willing to spend on your wedding day. I did not know how expensive wedding planning was going to be, and just the venue and the food and everything else. And so the number that my fiance and I started with and the number that we ended with, totally different. But we were okay with that. And so we just kind of made some adjustments and decided that the new number that we came up with based on some of the bids and quotes that we got was going to be like our hard stop. And we went with that. But you all have to have that serious conversation of what it is you really want to spend on your wedding day. And that's going to be different for everyone based on their circumstances. So there's no shame in deciding that you want to do something that's more modest, or if you're someone that likes to splurge, there's no shame in that either. Do what you want to do for you. For most of us, we only get married once, so do it the way that you want to do it. Or I guess the goal is only to be married once. The next thing that you're going to want to do after you have kind of looked at what type of venue you want, you've looked at your colors and your theme, and all of that is going to be, well, once I have my venue and my budget, what do I want my decor to look like? Like, what do I want all of the finishings to look like? And so I again went to Pinterest and started kind of pulling some different ideas that I thought would be extremely helpful. I knew that like for my centerpieces, I wanted something that was going to be more dramatic, and I wanted something that was going to really draw people's eyes up to the like grand scheme of like whatever the wedding venue was going to look like, because I knew I wanted something that was going to be sizable. And so I, for my wedding reception, actually created quite the document that kind of explains all of my decor, which I will actually go over in another video. But that is not for everyone, okay? That is not for everyone, because it took me quite a while. But for me, I feel like it would be easier for my wedding planner as well as my event and design planner to have a clear idea of exactly what I wanted on my wedding day. So again, on your vision board or your vision planning, make sure you have something on there just about kind of what you want the decor in this space to look like. After that, I then began to frame what I wanted my bridesmaids and the groomsmen to look like. And that was kind of like a joint conversation that I also had with my fiance, because I wanted him to have some input on what he and his groomsmen wore on the day of. Because I wanted to have something that was like very in touch with like nature. I wanted a lot of different textures, and so I'll put an example of kind of like the type of style of bridesmaid dress that I thought that I would like there. And then based on that, we picked what the groomsmen were going to wear. And I knew I really wanted to be able to accent that navy, because I was going to have a lot of like dusty blue in my wedding day or the day of the reception. And so I wanted to pull in those deeper tones. Now this is going to be dependent on the different, I guess, styles and opinions that your groomsmen and bridesmaids have. I feel like typically the groomsmen are a little bit easier to please than the bridesmaids, but I wanted something in terms of my bridesmaids dresses that was going to be comfortable for all of my bridesmaids. So I decided that I was going to pick the color and the material, but they could choose the dress type that fit their body type best or made them feel most confident. And so all of my bridesmaids are going to have variations of styles of dress, but it's all going to fit within the same color and texture to just really provide like that versatility on the day of, which I absolutely love. I'm not really into like matchy, but for some people that is their preference. So if that's you, then you may want to go with a style where all of the bridesmaids are wearing the same color, same style, same dress, same everything, same material. So that's up to you, for you to decide. But for me, I just thought it'd be really cool to let them wear kind of what they wanted to wear on the day of, because they are, you know, putting themselves aside for me. Not that, you know, I'm a bridezilla or anything, but I thought it'd be extremely important for them at least to feel comfortable on the day of the wedding reception. Last but not least, I kind of decided, okay, I've got all these different pieces that I really want. What time of year is going to best suit all of these different pieces of my vision? And so again, I liked the texture, I liked the deep cool tones, and so I also am a person who does not like to sweat, so I knew summer was going to be out. Not a summer wedding person, not for me. My fiance also, like, that's just not for us. And so I also am not into the extreme cold either, and so winter was not going to be a time for me either. That only left spring and fall. And fall is already, autumn is already my favorite time of year. In spring, you kind of get into like a lot of the rainy season. And so I chose the fall for my wedding date, elopement, reception, all of that. And so I thought that was extremely important for me to kind of put somewhere on my vision board, because that can also kind of play into what your decor looks like. It can kind of play into the type of attire that your bridesmaids and groomsmen wear, what you'll end up wearing for that day. And then depending on what time of year, like if you're closer to wedding season, which is around like the summer, you may be or need to kind of book your different venue spaces and vendors out a little bit further to make sure that you are able to secure them. So that's also something that was really important to me as well. So that concludes all of my different tips for just vision board planning and kind of getting all of the different ideas together for what you want your wedding to look like. I know it seems really simple, but you kind of like hammering out all of these different things can be extremely helpful for the grand scheme of things, because it kind of helps to center you on like, okay, this is what I want. And it gives you an idea of like what will work well with what and what won't. So for instance, if you know that you absolutely love the winter time, then you're going to want to go with maybe like a theme or a color scheme that's going to be more conducive to that. Like, I don't know many people that have like a tropical themed wedding in the winter. Does that make sense? And so I kind of went through this checklist in my head and kind of started vision board planning everything. And like I said, when we get to the next video, I'll go through the actual reception and what I wanted for the reception, and how I kind of picked my venue. And I'll go through that document to kind of show you exactly what I wanted for my reception. And then we'll talk about the elopement a little bit more in episode 3. So if you found this helpful, again, make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.